Today I'm telling you a wild Chinese fairy tale about a woman who knows what she wants, but unfortunately, pig torture. It's called The Pig That Warms the Ocean. Our hero is an orphan named Baldhead, and he cuts grass and sells it for his meager living. He eventually saves enough money to buy a single pig, and it's growing and it's healthy, but then suddenly after 3 months, it starts to shrivel up. Its skin looks like an old yellow-haired mouse's skin, according to the text. He looks at it and goes, even pigs won't grow right for me. But one day, a Muslim treasure seeker comes by, and he's like, ooh, I'm gonna give you like $1,000 for your pig. Okay, it's 100 silver pieces, but he's like, why would you pay so much for this pig? And the Muslim is like, well, that pig is magic. It is an ocean-warming pig. If you put it in a cauldron on the seashore and you boil the water the pig is in, the ocean will boil. You could even boil all the water away and dry the sea and go down there and get all kinds of treasure, which is why I want it. Well, Baldhead quickly grabs the pig and runs off like, sorry, no sale, now I'm gonna use it. So our dude goes to the shore, puts the pig in a cauldron and starts to boil it until the ocean starts to become steam. But then suddenly the Dragon King sends an envoy out of the water. The Dragon King, also sometimes called the Dragon God, is a water and weather deity in Asian mythology. He's mad about the boiling, so he sent his men to say, dude, stop it. The Dragon King's underwater castle will collapse. And Baldhead's like, I'm just boiling my pig. I don't know what you're talking about. So the king himself comes out and he's like, I'll give you anything you want. And Baldhead is so like mystified by him that he immediately stops cooking the pig, who apparently has almost cooked completely. The Dragon King parts the seas and Baldhead goes with him down to his castle and is treated lavishly and stays there for 4 days. He becomes friends with a servant who says, hey, when you leave, the Dragon King's gonna offer you gold and silver, but instead ask for the 3rd flower vase on his table. Our dude does that. The Dragon King doesn't want to part with it, but he's like, okay, fine. So he lets him take the flower home. And when Baldhead gets to the shore, the pig and cauldron are gone and we just never hear about them again. I hope the pig got away and lives a good life somewhere. If you're familiar with folktales, you might know where this is going. Baldhead puts the flower in his house and goes out to work every day, and when he comes back, everything's clean and a meal has been cooked for him. And so finally he hides out, and as you might expect, the flower turns into a beautiful woman who does all the cooking and cleaning while he's gone. He's like, who are you? And blushing as red as a peony, she says, I am the 3rd princess of the Dragon King. I was carried off by you and I'm your wife now. Then she taps him on the head and beautiful black shining hair falls from his head, so he's not Baldhead anymore. The story's still gonna call him that though. So his dreams have come true, he's living happily with his hot wife, but his neighbor notices this and kind of invites himself over for dinner one night so he can get a better look at her, and he's like, I want her. The neighbor's name is Chang, and she's cooking with Chang's cook in the kitchen, and Chang's cook burns the thrush he's cooking for the king, and apparently the king only eats thrushes, so he starts crying. He's like, the master's gonna beat me. So our girl, because you know she's magic, makes a thrush out of dough and says, cook this. He takes it to the master. Chang is like, this is the best I've ever had. You've been too lazy. And so then he confesses, no, the woman cooked it. So all of that is to say that Chang now absolutely wants her because she's an amazing cook and super hot. So he straight up tells Baldhead, unless you build a moat around your house, I'm gonna come steal your wife. He leaves. Baldhead tells his wife, she's like, don't worry, go buy some steaks, dress them in nice clothes, put them around our house, and in the morning, there'll be a big ditch there. And it works. Chang's like, well, there's no water in the moat. You better have that by the next day or I'll steal your wife. And this time she takes care of it by getting a dragon from her father's underwater kingdom, and the dragon comes and fills it with water. Chang's like, you need a hedge of green trees. She tells him to plant some sticks. They turn into a hedge of green trees. The funniest part of this is every time Chang shows up, he gets like hurt somehow by the magic. Like the dragon squirts water at him. When he comes to see the trees, an acorn falls on his head. Then he's like, you need birds in the trees. And so of course our girl makes these paper birds that turn into real birds and live in the trees. And when Chang shows up, one of them shits on his head, which he super deserves. Finally, Chang says, all right, I'm storming in and stealing your wife if you don't get me a pot of silly things, and I won't elaborate further. Baldhead's like, what am I gonna do? The wife's like, go to the sea and call silly things 3 times out to the sea. He does, and a pot comes up from the ocean, and he takes it to Chang. Chang sees the pot, and he's like, you call that silly things? Just bring your wife to me. Baldhead's like, take off the lid, and so he does. A bright flame of fire shot out so swiftly that it burned off all of Chang's hair, all of his eyelashes, and his eyebrows. And a voice calls from the pot, silly thing, why do you always want the wife of another? Chang dashes out, covering his head, never talks about silly things again, and never tries to steal Baldhead's wife again. And they lived happily ever after. And like I said, I hope the pig did too. Poor little piggy.